Meeting is now called to order. I won't say legislators, please take your seats. Looks like we're already there. The clerk will please call the roll.
Legislators May.
Here.
Rowley.
Here.
Burtis.
Here.
Tassone.
Here.
Cody.
Here.
Abbott Keenan.
Here.
Kuhn. Ryan.
Here.
Chase.
Here.
Holmquist.
Here.
McBride.
Here.
Bush.
Here.
Jordan.
Here.
Kinney.
Here.
Williams.
Here.
Irvin.
Present.
Mr. Chairman. Your mic's off, Dave.
Here.
17 present, none absent.
Thank you. Legislator Tassone, would you lead us in the invocation, please?
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. Due to the COVID-19 outbreak, I went online and I found a coronavirus prayer. Loving God, your desire is for our wholeness and well-being. Behold in tenderness and prayer the collective suffering of our world at this time. We grieve precious lives lost and vulnerable lives threatened. We ache for ourselves and our neighbors standing before an uncertain future. Pray, may love, not fear, go viral. Inspire our leaders to discern and choose wisely, aligned with the common good. Help us to practice social distancing and reveal to us new and creative ways to come together in spirit and solidarity. Call us to profound trust in your faithful presence. You, the God who does not abandon. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Amen.
The minutes, is there a motion to waive the reading of the minutes?
So moved.
Approval of minutes, motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Are there any communications to be presented?
As listed on the agenda.
Thank
Mr. Chairman,
you.
aren't we doing the flag?
No, as I mentioned earlier, that would be a little difficult to do the pledge of the flag, so decided to waive that one for today. So we do have a gold seal resolution sponsored by legislator Kuhn. Again, this is a little bit more difficult since we love to have people come into the legislature and celebrate these, but unfortunately in these times we can't. So we're going to do it as best we can, and maybe once this gets behind us, we can have the folks from the Jewish Federation come into the legislature. But at that, I will turn it over to Legislator Kuhn.
Thank you, Chairman. The Jewish Federation, which is located in DeWitt, has for over 100 years the Jewish community, fulfilling its obligation to care for one another and to engage in meaningful collective Jewish experiences. On April 19th of this year, we were to come together for Holocaust Remembrance Day to say, as one community, we will never forget. But due to this national health crisis, this event cannot be held. Therefore, Legislator Mary Kuhn and all the members of the County Legislature of Onondaga County, New York, on the 7th day of April 2020, wish to recognize and honor the Jewish Federation of Central New York for their work building a thriving Jewish community and honoring and remembering the victims of the Holocaust. Whereas the Holocaust was the state-sponsored systematic persecution and annihilation of European Jewry by Nazi Germany and its collaborators between 1933 and 1945, 6 million Catholics and Poles were also targeted for destruction and decimation for racial, ethnic, or national reasons, and millions more, including homosexuals, Jehovah's Witnesses, Soviet prisoners of war, and political dissidents, also suffered grievous oppression and death under Nazi tyranny. And whereas the history of the Holocaust offers an opportunity to reflect on the moral responsibilities of individuals, societies, and governments. And whereas we, the people of Onondaga County, should always remember the terrible events of the Holocaust and remain vigilant against hatred, persecution, and tyranny. And whereas the days of remembrance have been set aside for the people of the county of Onondaga to remember the victims of the Holocaust, as well as to reflect on the needs for respect of all people. And whereas the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum designates the days of remembrance of the victims of the Holocaust to be Sunday, April 19th, 2020, through Sunday, April 26th, 2020, including the Day of Remembrance, known as Yom HaShoah, on April 21st, 2020. Be it resolved that Legislator Mary Kuhn and all the members of the Onondaga County Legislature do hereby recognize the Jewish Federation of Central New York for their work in building a thriving Jewish community and honoring and remembering the victims of the Holocaust.
Thank you very much, Legislator Kuhn. Very nicely written, obviously. At this time, we would, present it to them and let them say a few words. Like I said, hopefully when this gets over, we can invite them in to so that we can give them a nice round of applause and recognize this. So,
Thank you very much.
Does anyone else have any comments on this? If not, we'll move along. Okay. Moving on in the agenda. Obviously, the public comment period will be waived for this meeting. Reports of standing committees.
None.
Reports of special committees.
None.
So before I call for the roll of legislative districts, I'll just remind everyone that again, in the interest of just transparency, I'm going to let Catherine read in the entire title of each one of these resolutions in the local laws, so that there's no confusion if someone's listening to the meeting but doesn't have the agenda in front of them. So with that, the clerk will begin the call of the districts, starting with district number 4.
District 4, Mrs. Tassone.
None.
District 5, Ms. Cody.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to offer resolutions 1 and 2 and urge their immediate adoption.
Amending the 2020 county budget to make funds available in connection with the Central Library reconfiguration project.
Yes, this is an amendment to a resolution to allow us to use the rent payment revenue that we're collecting from the SUNY upstate lease at the gallery, provide maintenance and other landlord services to that space.
Okay. Thank you. Other comments, questions?
Mr. Chairman, this is Jim Rowley.
Leslie Rowley, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, as you know, I was strongly opposed to the legislation passed in 2018 that put the county in the commercial real estate business at the galleries. I made the argument then that I was unwilling to risk taxpayer money on a risky commercial real estate venture, and I'm unwilling now to double down. We are currently underwater by $6.2 million in this project, and the current lease term will not cover the final $1.7 million of this amount. Now the county executive wants us to appropriate another $2.3 million and hope and pray that we get lease extensions beyond 2032 to cover this additional amount. The Ponzi scheme doesn't stop there, though. The $2.3 million requested today only covers anticipated costs through 2026, I'm sorry. If nothing changes, the legislature will have to appropriate additional funds in 2026 to keep the project going. Regardless of the legality, it's bad fiscal practice, in my opinion, to appropriate future unknown revenue to cover current costs. The use of cash in this regard is equally as poor a fiscal practice. Now more than ever, we should be conserving cash for the foreseeable future. We do not need the entire $2.3 million today. I believe the best course of action is to fund only what is needed now and deal with this appropriately in the budget. And I would urge my colleagues to reject this request. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Legislator Rowley. Other comments? Yes, go ahead.
While I agree with Legislator Rowley, I am concerned that when this was presented to our committee, it was for the purpose of maintaining existing issues with the tenant of Upstate. I don't know how to reduce this to cover the current year, but it seems as though we were being asked to pass something that seems like it's required to be passed if we are to be decent landlords. I was not present when the real estate was purchased, and I would have disagreed at that time. But given the realities of being a landlord now, I don't see how we cannot fund this request. Thank you.
Thank you. Comments?
Chairman Brian May.
Leader May?
Thank you. I think it was 7 years ago, I opposed pretty strongly the improvements, the path that we're kind of finding ourselves on today. Since then, I, have very reluctantly supported everything that's come our way, sort of along the lines of Legislator Kuhn's comments or rationale. It's been almost impossible to say no. I'm going to support this today. I honestly, I don't like it. I feel like, we're almost at an enough point. But the reality is, when this was approved in 2018, we knew this was coming, and we knew we were going to have to approve it. But like I said, I'm going to do it today. But I'm at my limit with this, with the investments that we're making in that direction. I think we ought to try to find a way to coast for a while once this is done. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Mr. Chairman, Jim Rowley again.
Yes. Legislator Rowley.
Okay, I just want to, reiterate the point that I made that we don't need the 2.3 million today. We only need what we need to maintain the property for the rest of the year. We can easily do this, the rest of this within the budget, especially given the fiscal circumstances that we find ourselves in. I just emphasize that I think this is a bad resolution right now, given our situation, and we should be very conservative, very cautious in terms of spending money into the future, especially in this regard. It's not, we don't know for sure whether or not the lease is going to be extended, and rental payments will fund this appropriation. So again, I would urge my colleagues to reject this.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Yes, Chairman, it's Peggy Chase. Jim, do you know how much we would need?
I don't know. I mean, that's up to the executive to provide that amount. I'm not aware of any analysis that shows the ongoing costs. And I could be mistaken. It might have slipped by me, but I'm not aware of any costs, any analysis that shows the ongoing cost. All I know is that this 2.3 million is, my understanding is correct, is supposed to carry us through the end of 2026.
This is Mary Kuhn.
Yes.
My understanding from Mr. Morgan's presentation at committee was that this $2.3 million was essentially the county fronting the money that would then return to the county once rents were paid over the next 5 years. That was my understanding of this $2.3 million.
That's correct. Other comments?
Yeah, this is Bill Kinney.
Legislator Kenny.
I'm very, very torn about this issue. I think it was bad legislation to begin with. And I think Jim Rowley's right. But I'm still torn. We need a library. We need a central library located downtown. But it's bad physical practice and it's really bothersome. So here I am at the last minute, still not sure how I'm going to vote, but I just wanted to point out that I believe Jim Rowley is absolutely right, and I believe Brian May's feeling is right. Bad legislation. Thank you.
Other comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Casey Jordan.
Yes, Jordan.
I would just mirror what Legislator Raleigh has said, that I don't know that we need to be appropriating the entire amount over, the next 6-year period of time. We can handle this on sort of an annual basis, and address the need sort of as it comes or as it's projected for the upcoming year. So I intend to vote against this at this point in terms of, appropriating money to cover a 6-year period of time.
Any other comments? Last call. Okay, thank you. The clerk will call a long call.
Legislators May,
Yes.
Irvin, Legislator Irvin, Legislator Irvin,
Move on.
Legislator Townsend,
Yes.
Legislator Cody, Legislator Abbott Keenan,
Yes.
Legislator Kuhn,
Yes.
Legislator Ryan,
Yes.
Legislator Chase,
Yes.
Holmquist,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Bush,
No.
Jordan,
No.
Kinney,
No.
Williams,
Yes.
Rowley,
No.
Burtis.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Yep, I'm back on. Yes.
Legislator Irvin, yes. 14, I'm sorry. 13 ayes, 4 opposed.
Resolution number 1 is adopted. Number 2.
Yes, this resolution authorizes us to enter into an agreement with Oswego County for repairs at the Codnoy Road Bridge. This would be a 50-50 split on the cost of this project. Some of it to come out of our 2018 work plan and the remainder out of the 2020.
We are the lead agency on this, so we will be doing the and the implementation of it and sharing the cost with Oswego. Other comments or questions?
Chairman, would you like me to read in the title?
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Yes, please do that.
Authorizing an intermunicipal agreement with Oswego County for bridge repairs associated with the Codnoy Road Bridge over the Oneida River.
Thank you. Other comments? Clerk will call a short call.
Legislators Abbott Keenan, May, Irvin, Williams. 17 ayes, none opposed.
Number 2 is adopted.
District 6, Mrs. Abbott Keenan.
Was there?
Yep, sorry. Yes, hi. Mr. Chairman, I would like to offer resolutions 3 and 4 and urge their adoption.
Thank you.
Confirming reappointments to the Onondaga County Community Services Advisory Board.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what Mrs. French just said. It puts Dr. Gupta, our hardworking health commissioner, Jennifer Redmond, and Monica Taylor on the Community Services Advisory Board for the county.
Great. Thank you. Other comments? Before I call a short call, just for future reference, if there is a short call, if someone would like to offer a no vote, you assume to be a yes, but if you'd like to offer a no, like we usually do on the floor where you raise your hand on this, please say your name and that you are voting no. So for item number 3, a short call, please.
Legislators Abbott, Keenan, May, Irvin, Williams. 17 ayes, none opposed.
Thank you. Number 4, Catherine.
Dave, can you hit the gavel in between?
Oh, sorry. Resolution 3 is adopted.
Thank you.
The new stuff myself here. 4, Catherine.
Providing for various personnel changes related to the reorganization of adult services and amending the 2020 county budget.
Yes. Yes, Mr. Chairman, currently we have the Veteran Services Program, which falls under Adult and Long-Term Care Services. This reestablishes the Veterans Services Agency and pretty much just moves money from adult and long-term care services. It moves functions, positions, and employees over. It's a net zero.
Thank you. This is something that's been asked for by the veterans community for some time now. Are there other comments?
Like the co-sponsors.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, it's Julie again. I just would say this is a respectable thing to do, and I think it's time.
Yeah. Other comments? Clerk will call a short call.
Legislators Abbott, Keenan, May, Irvin, Williams. 17 ayes, none opposed.
Resolution 4 is adopted.
District 7, Ms. Kuhn. None.
None.
District 8, Mr. Ryan.
Mr. Chairman, I oppose resolution number 5 and urge its adoption.
Thank you. Catherine?
Amending the 2020 county budget to make funds available for use by the sheriff's office within its Stop Violence account.
Legislator Ryan?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. So indeed, the acceptance of $249,989. The funding source is the initiative through the Department of Justice. It's in conjunction with the Student Teachers Officers Preventing School Violence Act, the STOP. The mission is to improve the efforts to reduce violent crime through the creation of school safety training and mental health programs for both school personnel as well as students. It was worked on, Grant. It was in cooperation with 21 different schools within the county, different school districts, OCM, BOCES, and Cornell University. There's no equipment or anything to that. It's just training. And this is basically going through the sheriff's department, but there is no local match. So.
Thank you. Comments? Seeing none, clerk will call a short call.
Legislators Abbott, Keenan, May, Irvin, Williams. 17 ayes, none opposed.
Resolution number 5 is adopted.
District 9, Dr. Chase.
None.
District 10, Mr. Holmquist.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to offer resolutions 6 and 7 and urge their adoption.
Thank you. Catherine, number 6.
Confirming appointment to the Onondaga County Cultural Resources Trust.
Legislator Holmquist.
Mr. Chairman, this is the appointment of Regina MacArthur to the Onondaga County Cultural Resources Trust. I urge its adoption.
Thank you. Other comments?
Mr. Chairman, it's Linda. I think it's an excellent choice. I'd like to co-sponsor this.
Okay, thank you. Other comments? Seeing none, clerk will call a short call.
Legislators Abbott Keenan, May, Irvin, Williams. 17 ayes, none opposed.
Resolution number 6 is adopted. Number 7, Catherine?
Confirming appointments to the Syracuse Onondaga County Planning Board.
Secretary Holmquist.
Mr. Chairman, this is offering the appointments of Marty Masterpole and Michael LaFleur as membership to the Syracuse Onondaga County Planning Board. I urge its adoption.
Thank you. Other comments?
I have questions about that Marty Masterpool.
Nobody's jumping up saying this is an excellent choice, I noticed, but it's the tradition that the comptroller is on the planning board, so.
Oh, man, we're in rough shape of this county. Okay, thanks.
Other comments? Seeing none, clerk will call a short call, please.
Legislators Abbott Keenan, May, Irvin, Williams. 17 ayes, none opposed.
Resolution number 7 is adopted.
District 11, Mr. McBride.
None.
District 12, Mr. Knapp.
Chairman, I offer items 8 through 13A and urge their adoption.
Thank you. Catherine, number 8.
Confirming reappointment by the chairman of the Onondaga County Legislature to the Board of Directors of the Onondaga Civic Development Corporation.
Thank you. Leader May.
Thank you, Chairman. This is your reappointment of Kimberly Townsend to the OCDC Board. If you've had a chance, folks, Kim has a phenomenal resume, and currently she is the CEO of Loretto. We're very lucky to have her on this board and serving in the capacity she is. I urge its adoption.
I would echo Leader May's comments. She's an excellent member of this board. Other comments?
This is Legislator Kuhn. I think also it's an excellent choice. Ms. Townsend has been very helpful in an organization that I'm involved with to register voters, and I would be happy to co-sponsor that.
Thank you. Other comments? None, clerk will call a short call.
Legislators Abbott Keenan, May, Irvin, Williams. 17 ayes, none opposed.
Resolution number 8 is adopted. Number 9, Catherine.
Naming the Criminal Courts Building at 505 South State Street in honor of the Honorable James C. Tormey III, former Justice of the New York State Supreme Court.
Leader May.
Thank you, Chairman. As the name indicates, or the proposed name indicates, we couldn't be doing a better thing for a better person who was incredibly committed to Onondaga County and the justice system across New York State throughout his unfortunately too short career. Again, we could be listing all kinds of accomplishments, and it would probably take up this whole meeting. The only comment I really have is that it's a shame that we have to pass this resolution this way, but I also think it's high time that we do it. So I urge adoption to this very important resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader May. I actually had a conversation with Sue Tormey, Judge Tormey's wife, and let her know that that this was one final step in the process, but when our current situation was behind us, and this was to get the process started so they can actually get everything in place to mount the name on the building and do the logistical things. We're planning a very, very, very nice ceremony with the county executive's office to the actual unveiling of this when it's done. So we'll definitely be able to get together and honor Judge Tormey, and she was very happy with that. Other comments?
Yeah, I just want to say that not only was Jim Tormey a well-respected judge and a good man, lived in my district and was actually a graduate of Corcoran High School, where a lot of people don't know he was an excellent ball player. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
And county legislator as well. Other comments? Seeing none, clerk will call a long call, please.
Legislators May,
Yes.
Urban,
Yes.
Tassone,
Yes.
Cody. Yes. Abbott Keenan,
Yes.
Kuhn,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
okay. Dr. Chase,
Yes.
Holmquist,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Bush,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Kinney,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Rowley,
Yes.
Burtis.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
17 ayes, none opposed.
Resolution number 9 is adopted. Number 10, Catherine.
Amending the health benefit plan for certain retirees, spouses, and dependents.
Leader May.
Thank you, Chairman. As we all know at this point, we probably have some tough financial times ahead. I expect item 10 to probably be the first of many other sort of austerity-related changes to come as a result of our current financial situation and all the various ways that we and the people we serve are being affected. So, now's the time to start to be proactive. This item proposes an increase to the retiree health insurance contribution to 22% for individuals who retire on or after January 1st, 2021. There's a companion resolution to this. Should this pass, it's the next resolution, item 10A. It will require a waiver. This resolution provides a voluntary retirement incentive of $5,000 with the added benefit of the retiree premium contribution being frozen at 15% should the retiree retire by specified deadlines based on their years of service. Personally, I'd also like to thank Legislator Ryan. I know he was instrumental in helping create or achieve consensus on this issue. And Chris, just really appreciate it. I know this was a kind of a tough issue until very recently, so thanks for the effort there. Chairman and folks, I urge adoption to this resolution.
Thank you, Leader May. Other comments?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
This is Casey Jordan. Yeah, I mean, I certainly, I guess, sort of mirror what Legislator May had to say in terms of the necessity to implement, kind of austerity in terms of our budget. And honestly, I was going to support this because it makes sense. What I have difficulty with, and actually when we got the numbers in terms of what the cost to retirees would be, now versus if they retire later on, it's about a 40% increase in the cost to the retirees. And certainly some retirees just aren't eligible to retire at this point in time. And they're looking at seeing the cost to them when the time comes where they can retire to be 40% higher than what it currently is. And I understand that, costs are going to go up and there may be some necessity to have future retirees contribute more. But to me, a 40% increase in the cost to the retirees is significant. And I guess I just have a hard time with the, I guess, severity of the cost increase. It could be through no fault of the retiree. I mean, again, if you're not eligible to retire, you can't take advantage of this early retirement incentive. And so you end up having to pay 40% more to continue your coverage once you are eligible to retire. And I just don't know that that's really entirely fair to our employees. So I intend to vote against this at this time.
Thank you. Other comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
it's my understanding
Leader.
that if you're currently working, you're paying more than 15% right now. So when you retire, the 22% would not be that much higher than what you're paying currently as an employee. The only difference is if you're retired right now, you're paying 15%. But if you're working right now, some are paying 19, 18, some are paying 20. So therefore, the 22 is not a big stretch.
Excellent point. I hadn't even thought about that myself. Good point. Other comments?
This is
Legislator Kinney.
Yes, Legislator Kenny.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would just like to point out that if our country had a better healthcare policy, we would not even be having this discussion. In other words, if employers were not providing health insurance, if it was a public thing for everyone, we'd be much better off. Just my 2 cents.
Thank you. That's not up for vote today, but thank you. Other comments?
Chairman Knapp, it's Julie. I want to agree with Leader Irvin on this. And I feel like if you look at the long picture, the big picture here, it's only proper, prudent fiscal stewardship to do this for our larger shareholders. We don't know where we're going to be financially after this crisis. It's scary to think about. And if people buy in to this, it's going to be just the smart, right thing for the county as a whole in terms of savings in the future.
Thank you.
Yep.
Other comments?
This is Legislator Kuhn.
Yes, Legislator.
I plan to support this reluctantly. While I understand the major fiscal concerns that we will be experiencing, first of all, people who are paying 18 to 20% now have a larger salary to take that out of than they will when they retire. However, having been a county employee for 30 to 35 years and watching the diminution of the county workforce with the same essential services needing to be provided, because that's what government is. And I know from the last round of cuts, our Department of Social Services has been sorely stretched to provide increasing number of clients with a diminished staff. So I guess my concern is going forward, I hope that we don't just look at county employees, union employees, as being expendable in order to meet budgetary issues. But I will be supporting this because I don't know what else we're supposed to do right now. Thank you.
Certainly. Yep, certainly. Other comments?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Burtis.
Legislator Burtis.
Well, thank you. Yes, I do plan to support this. I think it's important to put an actual dollar amount as opposed to a percentage. The actual dollars, in my opinion, are reasonable considering the plan that they have. It's an excellent plan with excellent coverage and co-pays, and frankly, I think it's one of the best plans around. And so I think that it's important to actually talk about the actual dollars and then also the great value that's provided there. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Well, please call a long call.
Legislators May,
Yes.
Irvin,
Yes.
Sassoon,
Yes.
Cody? Yes. Abbott Keenan,
Yes.
Kuhn,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Chase,
Yes.
Holmquist,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Bush,
Yes.
Jordan,
No.
Kinney,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Rowley,
Yes.
Burtis,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
16 ayes, 1 opposed.
Resolution number 10 is adopted. 10A, Leader May, are you looking for or requesting a waiver?
Yes, Chairman.
Are there any objections to the waiver being granted?
No.
The waiver is granted. Catherine, would you read the resolution?
Establishing a voluntary retirement incentive program.
Leader May?
Thank you, Chairman. I sort of covered this in the prior resolution, but just to briefly recap, folks who retire between, who elect to retire early between October 31st and December 31st of 2020 will be eligible for a $5,000 incentive payment and the ability to have their retiree insurance premiums frozen at 15%. And by the way, that 15% applies to their eligible dependents as well who are on the plan. I urge adoption to this resolution.
Thank you. Other comments?
Chairman Knapp, if I may. Yeah, I just, I'm happy we were able to reach this agreement. I'm happy and that there was, if you want to say buy-in, or there was an agreement with our employers, our unions that represent our employees. This is, I think it's going to be a good, hopefully we get a significant amount of people who are willing to take this voluntary offer. I think in also reducing the, not just the years of service, put us in a good spot. I'm just hopeful that we can, we get enough that we can offset some of these projected revenue shortfalls, and we can make this right, which is the oncoming fiscal end of this. What we're going to be faced with come September is going to be difficult. So just happy we got to agreement with this, and I'm glad that we had a broad range of consensus. So just want to say that, and thanks for the efforts.
Thank you again, Legislator Ryan, and I'm told that all the bargaining units have agreed with us. Other comments? Seeing none, the clerk will call a long call.
Legislators May,
Yes.
Irvin,
Yes.
Tassone,
Yes.
Cody, yes. Abbott Keenan,
Yes.
Kuhn,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Chase,
Yes.
Holmquist,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Bush,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Kinney,
Yes.
Legislator Kinney,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Rowley,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
17 ayes, none opposed.
Resolution 10A is adopted. Number 11, Catherine.
Amending the 2020 county budget to accept funds related to amendments to the 2004 stipulated judgment between Honeywell International Incorporated and the county.
Thank you. Leader May.
As read, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
this is Casey Jordan. I raised the issue at Ways and Means that, I don't understand that why we're voting on this now. I mean, the contracts haven't been even negotiated, to my understanding, let alone signed. And the explanation that I received was that, oh, this has to be done by December 31st, which is a long way up. It's over 8 months, away. And we have 2 sessions in December. We could have a special session if need be. If for some reason it takes that long to negotiate this agreement, it just seems counterintuitive to me that we would be voting essentially to approve a contract or an agreement that we haven't even seen. And I understand, I've seen emails that, you know, there's some statements that the current stipulated judgment provides for continuing liability for Honeywell for remediation, even if the property is conveyed. But, you know, I've asked that question, where in these documents does it say that? And from what I've seen, there isn't any provision that says that. There's provisions certainly say that, you know, Honeywell has a continuing obligation to a responsibility for remediation and to indemnify the county if the county is sued for issues relating to contaminants on this property. But there's nothing in there to say that obligation would continue irrespective of a transfer of ownership of this property. And you know, I understand that, you know, there's representations that, you know, certainly that's what we would require. But again, you know, we don't know if in fact Honeywell will agree to it, and if they do, under what conditions or terms they would be willing to agree to it. And it just seems to me that you're kind of closing the barn door after the horse is out to be voting on, you know, sort of approving an agreement that doesn't even exist at this point in time. And I don't see that there's any real compelling reason why we have to vote on this now. We could certainly vote on this later in the year. We could vote on this on December 31st if need be. You know, if for some reason it takes that long to get these agreements in place. But it just seems to me that this is, I don't know, imprudent to be approving this at this point in time. I'm not necessarily opposing it in concept, but, you know, the devil's in the details. And I just think that this is something that really should be voted on later on. And we're actually voting on actual agreements that we've looked at and you know, have knowledge of. So at this point, you know, I'm going to be voting against this. I would urge my, you know, fellow legislators to vote against this.
Yeah, thank you, Legislator Jordan. Yeah, I've been speaking with both Tim Fiteshi as well as Lori Trolley about this and about that specific issue as far as why today. And basically the situation is this is the first step in a we do have to have it done by the end of December. That is true. But this is the first step of a multi-step process that has to go through the court system, and we're kind of proceeding on two paths here, one on the court side and one on the final negotiations with Honeywell. And in order to have the court side in place as soon as the courts open back up, we'll be on the top of the docket. We have to have this approved by the legislature for the court to take it up. So that's the sense of urgency that we have with this. Again, you know, Tim Fiteshi sent out the email yesterday with his thoughts. He's also going to be looking over any documents as we proceed to make sure that the will of the legislature is conveyed, that we do not have liability going forward. And so, yeah, you know, that's what the situation is, why we have to move forward.
And I understand all that.
Mr. Chairman, it's Linda. Are we talking about the local law now, or are we talking about this resolution 11?
Well, resolution 11 and the local law are companion.
Yeah, I know, but I'm concerned.
But yeah, we're talking about number 11 right now, the $625,000.
Thank you.
Yep. Other comments?
Mr. Chairman, I understand everything you're saying, and obviously as an attorney, I understand that it takes time to go to the court. But I mean, in order for this to go to the court, you have to have an agreement for the court to accept or approve. So again, I mean, yes, it has to go through the court, but you have to have the agreement in place first. And if need be, you know, we could have a special session to approve the agreement. The agreement is going to have to be approved by the court in any event. And again, I don't know. I just don't see that this is something that has to be done now. I think that this can be done once the agreement has actually been negotiated. Because again, that's the agreement is going to have to be approved by the court regardless. So I don't see any reason why we can't wait until the agreement's in place, or at least the terms are at least in theory agreed to before we vote on this. So.
Okay, thank you. Other comments?
This is Mary Kuhn. I have a clarifying question. This $625,000 only transfers to the county upon the county receiving title to the land. Is that correct?
That's what I'm told.
Thank you.
It's part of the overall agreement. Yep. Other comments?
Mr. Chairman, it's Peggy Chase. I wholeheartedly agree with Casey. I think that, we should table this for today and get more specific wording in our document that really leaves us to not be responsible. It's down the line, whoever interprets this, it could be totally different. And I'd rather not vote no on it. I would rather have some more time to see a document that's more specific. But the way it is, I can't support it.
Thank you. Other comments?
Mr. Chairman, this is Legislator Bill Kinney. I guess I'm going to second her table.
Leader Irvin was first, and then Bill Kinney.
Sorry, thank you.
Thank you. In going along with what was told to us by our attorney, Tim Petty, it seems to me if we state on the floor today that we are doing this with the understanding that there will be no liability going forward, and that with his advice and the advice of the law department, that they will make certain that the agreement that is done subsequent to this says the same thing. I'm comfortable that they are not telling us this and doing something totally different. So
Tim Kakashi is shaking his head to the affirmative.
he's affirming that. Okay, so I am trusting him and the law department to protect our interest here, and I don't really see a need then to put it off rather than to just accept what they're telling me. So I'm going to support this.
Okay, thank you. Legislator Kinney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To me, it's not a matter of trust. I know that Tim is a very competent lawyer and doing what's best. It's not the point in my eyes. The point is it should be in front of us now what we're voting on, what actually are the terms, and the clarification in writing in front of us that we will not be responsible. So I think Peggy asked for a tabling motion. I'd like to second that.
Well, there was no tabling motion asked for, but if you're making it, then okay.
I'll make it then, please, sir. Thank you.
And I'll second it, Bill.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to table this. I'll open it up to discussion on the tabling resolution only. Are there any other comments concerning that?
This is Brian May.
Leader May.
Thank you, Chairman. I just want to voice my agreement with Leader Irvin that I believe we've been provided pretty good validation that the county will not be carrying any liability through these transactions. So I'm ready to vote on it today.
Thank you. Comments? As we proceed, we'll do a long call. And Tim, just to make sure I'm saying this right, a yes vote signifies we will table this. A no vote means we will move forward and vote on this today. Again, my thoughts are what I said previously, that this is not going to be a short process. The courts are going to be jam-packed, and we need to get this on the docket. So with that, the clerk, please call a long call on the waiver. Again, a yes is to what is to table. Yes is to table. No is to vote on today.
Legislators May,
No.
Irvin,
No.
Tassone,
No.
Cody, Abbott Keenan,
No.
Kuhn, Ms. Kuhn, Mr. Ryan,
No.
Dr. Chase,
Yes.
Mr. Holmquist,
No.
McBride,
No.
Bush,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Kinney,
yes,
Williams, Williams, Mr. Williams,
No.
Rowley,
Yes.
Burtis,
No.
Mr. Chairman,
No.
Ms. Kuhn,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Only one, Mary.
Got it.
Okay, nobody, I didn't know, because you didn't hear me before. I already said yes, so I wasn't sure you were.
Okay.
All right, got it. Now I'm muting.
I was unable to hear you. Ayes 6, noes 11.
Okay, so the motion to table has failed, so we will proceed. Any other comments before we take a vote? Clerk will call a long call.
Legislators May,
Yes.
Irvin,
Yes.
Tassone,
Yes.
Cody, Cody,
sorry, yes,
is that a yes? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear.
huh,
Abbott Keenan,
Yes.
Kuhn,
No.
Ryan,
Yes.
Chase,
No.
Holmquist,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Bush,
No.
Jordan,
No.
Kinney,
no,
Williams, Mr. Williams, Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Rowley,
Yes.
Burtis,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
12 ayes, 5 opposed.
Resolution number 11 is adopted. Number 12, Catherine.
Approving the classification of a type 1 action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act, accepting the environmental assessment form, and accepting and adopting the negative declaration for proposed amendments to the 2004 stipulated judgment between the county and Honeywell International Incorporated.
Leader May.
Thank you, Chairman. This is really a continuation of item 11, which we've talked about from many dimensions that really span through the local law that we'll be looking at later. This particular item, item 12, deals with the secret process associated with this. You know, as discussed, there was a question of whether the liability stays with Honeywell. And again, I believe that the county attorney's office and legislative council have done a good job validating that, in fact, it does stay with Honeywell. Obviously, all of us, I'm jumping on to the local law, Chairman, if I may, all of us would prefer to see the language perfect. There's no doubt about it. But I believe that we've received adequate backup for these decisions today. Thank you.
On the seeker, item 12.
Mr. Chairman, Casey Jordan, I voiced the same objections that I did with item 11.
Thank you. Other comments? Clerk will call a long call, please.
Legislators May,
Yes.
Irvin,
Yes.
yes, Tassone,
Yes.
Cody,
yes,
Abbott Keenan,
Yes.
Kuhn,
No.
Brian,
Yes.
Chase. Dr. Chase,
No.
Mr. Holmquist,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Bush,
No.
Jordan,
No.
Kinney,
No.
Williams,
Yes.
Rowley,
Yes.
Burtis. Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
12 ayes, 5 opposed.
Resolution number 12 is adopted. Number 13, Catherine?
A resolution approving the proposed leasing of sewer systems from certain municipalities within the Onondaga County Consolidated Sanitary District.
Thank you. Leader May?
Thank you, Chairman. This item 13 pertains to the leasing of sewers belonging to certain municipalities within the Meadowbrook Limestone CSO. There's been a ton of work over several months that has gone into the consensus building process. It's important to note that most of the stakeholders are on board with this initiative, and those who are not are electing to be on their own should consent judgments or anything like that come their way by not signing on at this point. At this point, I also believe that we, the legislature, have had a very ample opportunity over those same several months to develop individual positions on this issue. I believe that we're all going to be a no, or we're all going to be a yes, and those answers or votes aren't necessarily going to change. Our criteria may evolve, which we've seen happen through this process, but I think we're all where we need to be on this from a preparation standpoint, and I think it's time to vote, and I urge adoption to this matter.
Leader May, I just wanted to add real quick, and I'll open it up to comments. This is specifically for the Meadowbrook Limestone area. The town of Manlius, Village of Manlius have signed on. I think the Village of Fayetteville is very close from the sounds of it. Also, I found out just this morning that the town of DeWitt is very, very close to an agreement. There's just a couple of I's to dot and T's to cross with DeWitt. This is a very good deal long-term for our towns that are in the various CSOs. And, we're moving this liability from them. Also, we're going to be voting on each one of these individually. The folks over in Meadowbrook Limestone are good with us. And, the other CSOs, each one's a little different. Each agreement will be slightly, the framework is going to be the same, but each agreement's going to be slightly different based on the CSO. And so, we will be debating this again and again as the various agreements as we move forward. They did put in a stipulation for people towns that do not have debt, that they can access the $200,000 for a green project, in an attempt to help make the level of playing field somewhat for the folks that don't have debt. So anyway, I think we've done everything we can on this. Again, we have debated this one up and down and left and right. So like Leader May said, I think it's time to get the vote on this one. Last thing, we do have a consent decree here for the Meadowbrook Limestone area. So yeah, we are definitely up against the gun on this one. We're gonna have a little bit more time and flexibility with the other ones. With that, I will open it up to other comments.
This is Legislator Kuhn.
Yeah, Legislator Kuhn, and then Jordan.
This is a clarifying question. How does this number 13 differ from what we'll be voting on for the local law? How is this a different from the local law that it will be voted on later?
It's a companion legislation. And so you can't do one without the other, basically.
So this number that we will be moving forward with a consolidation of the sewer system, and the local law is the more specific lease. Am I correct?
Exactly. Yep. Well put.
Thank you.
Again, but just for Meadowbrook limestone.
Correct.
Jordan?
Where I am confused is that I completely support consolidation of the sewer system. It's long overdue. The concern that I have had is the lack of seeing the larger plan to all of this and how each of the towns fit in. There's no doubt we need to do this, but the fact that everybody hasn't signed on yet and the lease is still fluid is part of my concern. That's why I was wondering if 13 means, yes, we need to do this, and the local law is the more specific lease agreement.
I'd say that's accurate. Yep. So Jordan?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think I've made my views on this pretty well known. A condition for my support of, I support the idea of the county taking over the sewers, whether it's by lease or whatever. And I voiced my support for that concept more than a year ago. But a condition of that was to give some recognition of the fact that some municipalities have done a better job at maintaining and keeping up their sewers, and that there need to be some recognition of that. And frankly, this lease agreement does not do that. It actually does the exact opposite. It actually rewards districts that have kind of neglected their sewers. It treats them more favorably than municipalities that have been doing a better job at maintaining their sewers. And I understand this is just for Meadowbrook limestone, but let's face it, the reality is this is going to be a template for with all the other towns. And I think one of the risks with this agreement is that it actually incentivizes the towns and villages to not take care of their sewers, because of the fact that it actually treats the municipalities that have not been taking care of their sewers more favorably than the ones that have. So I think the natural response from the towns and villages, especially the ones whose sewers are in better shape, but who will be farther on down the line, so to speak, would be to say, well, then why are we going to be continuing to invest in our sewers if it's not really going to be to our advantage? And I think the end result of that is going to be that when it's all said and done, what's going to be taken over by the county will be a sewer system that'll actually be in worse shape than it would have been otherwise if there was some type of incentive for the towns and villages to continue to maintain their sewers, which with this lease agreement, I believe there is. I just think that it's not really a good arrangement. Again, I support the idea of the county taking over the sewers, but these terms I don't really think accomplishes in the best fashion possible. I understand there's a consent, order. We've known about that for a long time, and this could have been addressed quite some time ago. So I will not be supporting this.
Thank you. Other comments?
Mr. Chairman, Raleigh.
Leslie Raleigh's next.
Mr. Chairman, as much as we've been told that each lease agreement is going to be unique under the executive sewer consolidation plan, like legislator Jordan, I have to assume that most of the language in this agreement will be used as a template for future agreements. So that being said, I'm very concerned that the agreement has no provision for allowing municipalities a seat at the table in determining treatment capacity for sewer systems within their boundaries. In my opinion, the lack of such a cooperative provision puts the whole development process within a municipality at the mercy of the county, who is solely responsible for determining capacity in this agreement. For many reasons, this is a dangerous precedent in my opinion. There's no check or balance, no input from the municipality on capacity issues in this agreement. Outside of a lease agreement, a difference of opinion on capacity could be settled via legal action if that was necessary. But in my opinion, once this agreement is signed, this remedy is effectively off the table. As a former town supervisor, this is not a position I would want to be in. Additionally, Mr. Chairman, while I won't opine on the adequacy of the $200,000 payment to towns, within the agreement to either pay down debt or do a project, especially in light of the sales tax sharing amounts provided to the city and school districts, as well as the significant grant programs afforded to villages. I do object to the provision that projects must be green. There are viable and important related projects that would not necessarily be considered green that a town may want to undertake. I believe they should be allowed this option. While I support the executive's overall plan of sewer consolidation, this version of the agreement does not fit the bill, in my opinion, and I will not be supporting it at this time. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Leslie Rowley. I knew there was someone else that was chiming in. I couldn't understand who it was.
Chairman, it's Mr. Kinney.
Leslie Kinney.
Thank you. Well, I'm a big fan of consolidation, and I think, and I applaud the county executive for heading in that direction. But I have to agree with some of what Mr. Rowley said and some of what Mr. Jordan said. This is just not the best way to do it. And Mr. Rowley said that there was a plan for the end, or implied that there was a plan for the end. I don't know of any plan that shows us what's going to happen in the end. You know, how are we going to go, where we're going, what's going to happen. So I cannot support this.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Legislator Holmquist.
Legislator Holmquist.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There, of course, is wide support for this plan in my district. All of the municipalities are very, very, very supportive of it. This is really the first of its kind consolidation in New York State, and it is a template. And I'd like to take just a minute to thank Frank Mento and his team. This is probably the biggest issue, the most expensive issue that we're going to be facing in the next 10 to 15 years, and it is the I in PI. It's the biggest infrastructure program that we're going to be seeing in a long time, and it's underground, so people haven't been thinking about it. And I think Casey, Jordan, and Jim Rowley bring up some good points. However, I do feel the primary driver of those areas of the district that aren't in as good a shape is simply the age. It's not that the fact that they were neglected, although small municipalities like villages and towns don't have the economies of scale for maintenance and replacement and everything. And that's one of the primary reasons that we're consolidating this is the county is in a much, much better, WEP's in a much better position to take over the system. And we are all in this together. We're all in it together. And what we are under the consent judgment that just doesn't affect Meadowbrook Limestone. It affects everybody. And I know in the village of Manlius, for example, it's the oldest village in the county. So they simply have sewers and infrastructure that's a lot older. So all the maintenance in the world, eventually you got to replace them. And that same issue is happening in Metro and all the other districts around. Everybody will take their turn. There's no perfect solution, but I think everybody has to recognize the size and the scope of this project, particularly since it's the first of its kind. And I think that Frank Mento and his team and the county executive's team has really done a great job in attempting to address everybody's concerns. We've had lots and lots of meetings on this, and there will be plenty more down the road. I don't feel the spirit of this is going to commit anybody to specifics in the future. This is just for Meadowbrook Limestone, and it is the first of its kind in the state. And I think it's going to be a template for sure, not only for Onondaga County, but across the state on how to do this correctly. And I do believe, even though some of the conclusions that have been arrived upon in this agreement, not everybody agrees with, you got to understand that simply because it's such a huge undertaking, and there is no precedent. We're the pioneers on this, so there's going to be a lot of fits and starts. So I think overall, people have to understand we're all in this together. We're all connected together, and this is a great start. And again, there's widespread support here for that in Manlius. There's no question, and I strongly urge this adoption and the local law adoption too, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments?
Mr. Chairman?
Chairman?
Let's say Burtis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Jordan next. Go ahead.
I just wanted to take the opportunity to agree wholeheartedly with Legislator Holmquist and agree some with Mr. Rowley and unfortunately very little with Mr. Jordan. I think the challenge here is that's been I've repeatedly heard was that the idea that we can grade these systems. There is no grade. There's only the dollar amount of debt that we have and certain expenditures, but it's very difficult, I think, to grade these systems and say that people have neglected them or have fixed them up based on dollar amount spent. To Mr. Holmquist's point, this is a very difficult thing to do. It's very, it's very hard. It's probably why it hasn't been done until now. But I plan to support it. I think if we wait for it to be perfect, we'll never do it. And so I would just urge my fellow legislators to support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Legislator Jordan, were you chiming in before?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I understand everything that Legislator Holmquist is saying, and again, I don't disagree with that. The consolidation or the taking over the sewers by the county is a good way or a good idea and a good way to move forward. But again, it's devil's in the details, and the question is, how do we do that? I think that having the county assume the debt when they do lease it, assuming whatever outstanding debt there is by municipalities whose systems are being leased, is a more appropriate and I guess more productive avenue. By doing that, you are not a perfect solution, but it is sort of recognizing the investment that municipalities have made in maintaining their sewers. Secondly, I think all total it's about $18 million, which certainly is not an insignificant sum of money, but compared to the almost $700 million we spent relative to the amended consent judgment, it's a drop in the bucket. But it also, to get back to the point that I made before, it encourages municipalities whose sewers aren't being leased or taken over right away to continue to maintain their sewers. So I think that is a more productive avenue to go by and whatever programs, for lack of a better phrase, quite frankly, than being proposed. I appreciate the hard work that's gone into this, and certainly I appreciate that Mr. Holmquist's district is kind of under the gun, so to speak, because of the amended or the consent order. But I do think that there is a better way to address this, and I think that probably having the county assume the debt would be a better way to move forward with this process. Again, I think it recognizes the investment that the towns and villages have made, and it also encourages the towns and villages to continue to maintain their systems until a time comes where the county eventually takes over the management and control and maintenance of their sewers. So at this point, again, I would urge my legislators to not approve this and come up with a better solution.
Other comments?
Chairman Knapp, it's Julie.
Yes,
I am wholeheartedly going to support this. I look at this issue and having sat through meeting after meeting with explanation after explanation, I agree with Legislator Holmquist. There's no perfect solution. And I would hate to see us be the cog in the wheel of the slow wheels of government. It's time to act. I haven't had the privilege of being one of the leaders who is in charge of the home ownership, if you will. I do believe that it needs to happen now. You look at that end dollar amount, and I don't see anything but a benefit in that to all of our shareholders. In addition, I just want to say, representing 5 towns, I actually find it presumptuous to think that all of these leaders are just going to, say, okay, forget it, we're not going to maintain. That's going to have an impact on them as well with their shareholders. There is basic sewage maintenance. I mean, a lot of my district, quite frankly, I'll be honest, is not impacted by this. But you look at it and think, they're going to have to fix some of this stuff, and they're not maintaining it. A portion aren't maintaining it anyway. You got to do it. And I believe that now is the time. We're at the end of the line with this one, and you've got that consent judgment, and then what if we don't act? So I've seen the debate. I agree with everybody having good points. It's not perfect, but I'm prepared to support it. And I, again, echo what everybody said about Frank Mento and his team doing a really good job and putting a lot of heart and soul into this.
Other comments?
Yep.
I was just, this is Mary Kuhn. I was intrigued with the question that I forget who said that this is, we're the first in the state. I do believe that there are downstate counties that have consolidated sewer systems, but under private, it has been contracted out. So was it the response about the first that a county has undertaken this themselves?
I can't say that I know the answer to that. Legislator Holmquist, I know you mentioned that. I don't know what the context was. Go ahead if you have a.
Yeah, I believe the way that it's been explained is that it's the first of its kind, and this type of consolidation is likely to be adopted. This template that we have is the first of this kind, and there are the situation downstate is different, but I know that Frank Mento presented that a couple times at some of the meetings, including at the legislature. So he could provide the details on it.
I do know that the DEC really likes this plan, which if you remember last month, we accepted a $2.25 million grant from the DEC to go towards the Meadowbrook limestone improvements because of this, because they really like this agreement and like the way we're doing this. So, other comments?
This is Legislator Kuhn one more time. I don't think we have to wait for perfect either. And again, I completely support consolidation of the sewer system. I just don't think the in looking at the entirety of our metropolitan Onondaga County, including the city, that the vision for the entire thing is not clear to me. But it's not about perfect, it's about complete. But in any case, thank you.
Thank you. Other comments?
Chairman?
Yes, Leader May.
Brian May. Just a quick clarification. A couple really fantastic points have been made by virtually everybody who's spoken on this. I just want to clarify, for those of us that actually come from a local municipality prior to coming to the legislature, particularly municipalities that deal with sewer systems, this isn't a matter of, in my view, a matter of rewarding unfairly municipalities who maybe haven't maintained sewer systems. It's really more dynamic than that. It's a function of age, and where their system is in relation to its debt service and things of that nature. There's just more to it than that. But on top of it, I truly agree that incentives to keep these local municipalities in the sewer business until such time that we consolidate in their CSO was a good idea. And I just, for the record, or a point of order, it was tried on 3 different occasions to achieve exactly that, and it was dismissed out of hand, which is, the position I think from the other side of the equation is simply what we're doing should be incentive enough. And I have a hard time really disagreeing with that logic. But again, I think a little bit of an ongoing incentive would have been helpful. So to several legislators' points, are we going to vote on something that's 95% complete, good, ready to go for these specific purposes, or are we going to get hung up on 5%? I don't know. I'm ready to vote on this. Thank you.
Leader May, any other comments? Clerk will call a long call.
Legislators May, Legislator May. Legislator May. Legislator Irvin.
Yes.
Legislator Tassone.
Yes.
Cody. Abbott Keenan.
Yes.
Kuhn.
I'm leaving the meeting right now.
So is that a no vote or a yes vote or an absent? Are you voting?
I don't think she's voting.
Absent.
You're absent. Okay, Legislator Ryan.
Yes.
Dr. Chase.
Yes.
Mr. Holmquist.
Yes.
McBride.
Yes.
Bush. No. Jordan.
No.
Kinney.
No.
Williams.
Yes.
Kelly.
No.
Burtis.
Yes.
Legislator May. Did not
Yes.
hear your vote.
Thank you. I hung up by accident. I apologize, everyone.
No worries. Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Twelve ayes, 4 opposed, 1 absent.
Resolution number 13 is adopted. Hey, Catherine?
We need a waiver.
Oh, thank you. Leader May, are you
Requesting a waiver, Chairman.
Is there any objection to a waiver being granted? Hearing none, the waiver is granted. Go ahead, Catherine. Thank you.
Providing for additional compensation for the health department services related to the COVID-19 emergency response.
Thank you. Leader May?
Thank you, Chairman. Item 13A pertains to the tremendous strain that the COVID-19 pandemic has put on really all county resources. At this point, the specific resolution has to do with providing some backup for key leadership, specifically our Public Health Commissioner, Dr. Gupta. This resolution proposes to fund the ability of the Health Department's Director of Operations to be on call as a backup to Dr. Gupta during these very challenging and demanding times. I support this resolution and urge its adoption. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader May. Other comments? Seeing none, clerk will call a short call.
Legislators Abbott Keenan, May, Irvin, Williams. 18 ayes, none opposed.
Resolution 13.
District 13, Mr. Bush.
None.
District 14, Mr. Jordan.
Mr. Chairman, I offer resolutions 14 and 15 and urge their adoption.
Thank you. Number 14.
Reappointments to the Onondaga County Soil and Water Conservation District.
Jordan?
Yes, resolution 14 is simply confirming reappointments to the Onondaga County Soil and Water Conservation District Board of Craig S. Dennis, John Lamondes, and David Colburn. I think they've all done a great job, and I urge passage to this resolution.
Yes, Craig Dennis and John Lamondes are actually members of the 12th district, do a great job on this board. And David Colburn is a former head of the Environmental Protection Department in the county. So all really good, very active folks. Any other comments?
Mr. Chairman, Jim Raleigh.
Yes.
Just want to mention Dave Colburn is a constituent in the 2nd district. He's an excellent choice.
Outstanding. Yep, he is a sharp individual. Thanks for pointing that out. Other comments?
Chairman Knapp, it's Julie Abbott Keenan. Legislator Bush and I serve on this board with these guys. I just wanted to share with you all, They literally are, we're getting emails every day. They are, you wouldn't believe the transparency, communication, and the outreach that's going on and the involvement with the board. So these are actually really important appointments with this, crisis that we're dealing with right now. You've got farms dumping milk. You've got all sorts of issues as it pertains to where to put it so it doesn't contaminate soil runoff into watersheds, et cetera. And this group is on top of it. So I'm proud to be serving with them along with Legislator Bush. I just want to let you guys know.
Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none, clerk will call a short call.
Legislators Abbott, Keenan, May, Irvin, Williams. 17 ayes, none opposed.
Resolution 14 is adopted. 15.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Resolution 15 is a resolution confirming the reappointment to the Onondaga County Research Recovery Agency of Alberto Bianchetti. Mr. Bianchetti's been on the board, I think, for quite some time, and has been doing a great job. So I urge confirmation of this reappointment.
Thank you, Legislator Jordan. Catherine, could you read it in real quick, just so we're official?
Confirming reappointment to the Onondaga County Resource Recovery Agency.
Thank you. Thank you, Legislator Jordan. Any other comments? Please call a short call.
Legislators Abbott, Keenan, May, Irvin, Williams. 17 ayes, none opposed.
Resolution 15 is adopted.
District 16, Mr. Kinney.
None.
15. District 16, Mr. Williams.
None.
District 17, Mrs. Irvin.
None.
Mr. May.
None.
District 2, Mr. Rowley.
None.
District 3, Mr. Burtis.
Chairman, I would bring number 16 and 17 and urge their adoption.
Thank you. Number 16, Catherine.
Confirming appointment to the Onondaga County Syracuse Commission on Human Rights.
Legislator Burtis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're here to appoint Reverend Roosevelt Baums to the Human Rights Committee. Reverend Baums is educated at Syracuse University. He's a 49-year community activist, very involved. If you haven't read through his resume and his credentials, you really should. He is a Bible scholar, an accomplished teacher, and a retired elder. I think he would be a great add, and I support his appointment.
Thank you. Other comments? Seeing none, clerk will call a short call.
Legislators Abbott, Keenan, May, Irvin, Williams. 17 ayes, none opposed.
Resolution 16 is adopted. Number 17.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Number 17, there's a personnel resolution. As you see here for the Health Department, we have some creates and we do have abolishes as well. And I think our Health Department is doing a great job, and these would become effective the first full pay period of April 7th. And I support this resolution.
Thank you, Legislator Burtis. Yeah, all three of these positions are related to our COVID-19 emergency situation, and they are budget neutral. Clarify that. Other comments? Seeing none, clerk will call a short call.
Legislators Abbott, Keenan, May, Irvin, Williams. 17 ayes, none opposed.
Resolution 17 is adopted. Just for some quick clarification on number 18, which was pulled, the state legislature in the budget, and we've confirmed this several times to make sure nothing got missed, did a blanket approval of all the 1% sales tax extenders for all the counties that it applied to automatically, so they did not need our memorializing resolution. However, we will have to do the local law implementing that sales tax in the coming months. So, so number 18 is pulled. So we'll move on to the local laws. Local law A, Catherine.
A local law amending the Onondaga County Charter and Administrative Code regarding veteran services.
Leader May.
I yield the floor to the chairman.
Okay, thank you. Yes, this is a companion local law with the resolution that was passed earlier, item number 4, that removes the Veteran Service Agency of the county out of the umbrella of the Department of Aging and makes it its own department. And again, as I mentioned earlier, this is something that the various veterans organizations throughout the county have been interested in and asking for several years now, since they were put under aging several years ago. So this is good news. This is a good move, and I urge adoption of the local law. Are there any comments?
Mr. Chairman, Slender. Yes, this is certainly a good move. It never should have been moved out of their own department to begin with. Not sure why that happened when it did, but it certainly will operate much better this way, and the veterans will be serviced much better in this capacity. Thank you.
Agreed. Thank you. Other comments? Seeing none, clerk will call a long call.
Legislators May,
Yes.
Irvin,
Yes.
Tassone,
Yes.
Legislator Cody, Abbott Keenan,
Yes.
Kuhn,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Chase,
Yes.
Holmquist,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Bush, Jordan,
Yes.
Kinney,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Rowley,
Yes.
Burtis.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
17 ayes, none opposed.
Local law A is adopted. Local law B, Catherine.
A local law amending the 2004 stipulated judgment between Honeywell International Incorporated and the county, authorizing the acquisition of property and lease of 2 parking areas from Honeywell and authorizing the execution of agreements.
Leader May.
Thank you, Chairman. On your behalf, I believe local law B has been discussed very thoroughly. It is the companion of resolutions 11 and 12, which were passed earlier. With that, I'll just yield the floor to my colleagues for comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Legislator Ryan, I know that we covered it, and I know that, but specifically speaking to the local law, I just want to make sure we're very, very clear, and it is stipulated on record. I know it has been, but I just want to say, in the opinion of legal, that pursuant to the transfer, that in no way does this approval of the transfer of the property mean the county is accepting the liability that Honeywell has already agreed to.
Thank you. Other comments?
Mr. Chairman, this is Jim Raleigh.
Yes.
Again, I want to get my comments on the record. I didn't comment on items 11 and 12, but I thought that Legislator Kinney's idea to table was a good idea. Once that failed, I don't have a problem accepting money, and never will, from Honeywell, or do I have an issue with seeker for the parcels identified in this local law. But this local law, as Leader May appropriately pointed out at Ways and Means, could be crafted better. Additional language expressing our desire to protect the county from future environmental liability claims should be inserted. Regardless of whether it's redundant or not needed, we should take every opportunity as a legislator to express our desire to protect taxpayers from liability as we continue to develop lake property for park use. I've heard the discussions on why we need to do this today, but I don't believe there is a compelling reason to act on this local law today, and I'm sure Honeywell would be okay with it as well. So I'm not going to be supporting this local law. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Other comments?
Mr. Chairman, Casey Jordan, I just would reiterate the same objections that I voiced previously.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Mr. Chairman, Ms. Linda, Mr. Chairman.
Leader Urban?
Yes,
Leader
I
Urban?
want to certainly agree with the statement that Legislator Ryan made in terms of liability. I think it covers everything adequately, and I will support this.
Thank you. Other comments? We'll call a long call.
Legislators May,
Yes.
Irvin,
Yes.
Tassone,
Yes.
Lee, Abbott Keenan,
Yes.
Kuhn,
No.
Ryan,
Yes.
Chase,
No.
Holmquist,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Bush,
No.
Jordan,
No.
Kinney,
No.
Williams,
Yes.
Rowley,
No.
Burtis.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
11 ayes, 6 opposed.
Local law B is adopted. Letter C, Catherine?
A local law authorizing the lease of sewage disposal systems from certain municipalities within the Onondaga County Consolidated Sanitary District for county purposes.
Thank you. Leader May?
Thank you, Chairman. On your behalf, as with local law B, local law C has been thoroughly discussed today and in the past. With that, I'll yield the floor to my colleagues with comments and questions.
Again, local law C is a companion to resolution 13 concerning the Meadowbrook limestone consolidated service area. Other comments?
Thank you, Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, Casey Jordan, I would just reiterate the same objections I voiced previously to this local law.
Thank you. Other comments? Clerk will call a.
Legislators May,
Yes.
Irvin, Tassone,
Yes.
Cody, Abbott Keenan,
Yes.
Kuhn, Legislator Kuhn. Mr. Ryan,
Yes.
Chase,
Yes.
Holmquist,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Bush,
No.
Jordan,
No.
Kinney,
No.
Williams,
Yes.
Rowley,
No.
Burtis,
Yes.
Legislator Kuhn.
She's absent.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Twelve ayes, 4 opposed, 1 absent.
Local law C is adopted. There is no unfinished business. Just from announcements from the chair standpoint, we've been here almost 2 hours. Actually, I was figuring it was going to be about 3 o'clock, so I think we've done pretty well. Obviously, very good debate. I appreciate everyone's patience and courtesy working within the WebEx system and letting everyone have their turn. Not the optimal way to do business, but unfortunately, given the circumstances, I'd say this went very, very well overall logistically. Again, thank you to our clerk, Debbie Maturo, and the staff for all their hard work in putting this together. Especially Debbie, she's been here every day pretty much on her own, and Jamie filling in whenever she could. And again, they've done a great job with this. Again, we had some tough issues today. I appreciate everybody's respectful debate, and hopefully we can we'll move forward, and we won't have to do this again next month. Hopefully things will be better by then.
Question?
Yes.
I have a question before we end regarding next month. I did have a question from a constituent, and I don't know if you can answer this now, but I wanted to at least put it on, about if in the event that we have to do this again next month as a virtual legislative meeting, can we have an opportunity during public comment for people to submit comments in writing that would be read into the record?
That's something we can possibly do. Let me talk to our council about that, but that could be something that could be an opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you, Debbie and Jamie and everybody. This has been awesome.
So with that, I'm about to adjourn the meeting, but just a reminder to the Leader May, Leader Irvin, and the committee chairs. We're going to hang on afterwards just for a couple of minutes to review the agendas and decide what we're going to do on program committee meetings. So the meeting is, Leader May, will you make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Sure, I move to adjourn until Tuesday, May 5th.
Thank you. We are adjourned.
Have a good day, everybody.
Thank you.